You're live. You can kick off.
Welcome. Yes, welcome everybody. For those of you that have joined on time, thank you for being punctual. I'm going to give everybody 1 minute just to filter in because we've had a ton of responses, which has been great. And in the meantime, feel free to drop us a note in the chat and tell us where you're from. Christine, I hope you are surviving the snowpocalypse there in New York City. It looks horrible.
Hey, Christine.
Oh, hi, Cat. SF representing. Got Chicago. Hopefully, it's not too cold there. Oh, Poland. Hi, Patrick. North Carolina, Chicago, Charlotte, more Bay Area. Love this. Omaha. Wow. Don't
Mm,
get that often. A couple Texas. Okay.
nice. I'm recognizing some name. Hey, Sadia,
Yeah,
Shana.
Las Vegas, New Jersey. I'm guessing New Jersey's getting Pedro. I guess you're getting snowed in there too as well. Vicky, welcome from Scotland. All right. And it looks like I think we've got every a good portion to get kicked off here. So we will start. First off, welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's lovely to have you all here. Thank you for joining us. And I think you will find this is a fascinating topic. I am absolutely all in on this, as is Hala. Just a couple of housekeeping notes and things to just to talk about today. We are talking about AI employees, and I think we came into this year, and actually one of my predictions for 2026 was going to be that AI employees was going to be the most overused term in 2026, and I think we're well on the way to meeting that objective. Just like agentic agents and agentic were the most commonly word used last year, we're well on our way with AI employees. However, and I'm going to put myself at the top of this list, AI employees are not terribly well understood. And I feel like I wake up every day and there's a new definition, and I feel like I'm struggling with the definition. Now, OpenClaw, ClaudeBot, MoltBot, whatever it is, really has changed. We scheduled this a couple months ago, but in just the last month, everything that's gone on with OpenClaw has really changed the conversation around AI employees. And so it's perfect timing to have this conversation and really tease apart what we really mean by this. And even in prepping for this, Hala and I had lots of discussions about trying to figure this out. Just a couple of things. We have a sort of an agenda, a working agenda, but we'll look for Q&A as we go or take your questions and answers. I mentioned this in my LinkedIn post. Hala is truly an AI expert. She's a legit, like, knows what she's talking about. She'll give her introduction, but I think she's one of the people I go to when I have a real technical question about AI. So I'm thrilled to be joined by her. And as I mentioned, she is a technical advisor in my AI master classes, which she just does as a volunteer. And so we have kind of a good working relationship around this topic. And I think most folks know me, but if you don't, I'm a partner with Kearney. I'm a digital futurist, and I'm an author, keynote speaker, et cetera, et cetera. But my focus and my research right now is really how organizations are changing due to this AI, the AI employee and AI more broadly. And so that's what my research agenda is now. Hala, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Eloise. And thank you for the nice intro. I'll give credit to Eloise 2 years ago, when I met with her, she already understood the concept of AI, and she was one of the first to see it. So you also get this credit to be one of the innovator in the space. Yeah, so quick background about me. I have an interesting experience for the last 15 years. Half of my experience has been in procurement and supply chain. So I was part of the enterprise application team at Facebook, where I built internal procurement system for the company, as well as internal supply chain system, all on top of Oracle. Only company like Facebook and Meta can afford to build everything internally. The last 10 years has been specializing in AI. So even before AI was a hype, I started to work on Google Assistant for a few years, and then I was part of the Apple Intelligence team. I was working on the new version of Siri when Gen AI launched, and this has been a big experience for me because I've been working on AI before, during, and after Gen AI happened, and seeing large companies like Apple trying to implement the change and, to be honest, struggling a little bit because it's difficult to implement it on your existing tech stack. It kind of forced me to leave and join the world of startup to create Review 3 years ago, where we have been bringing AI to the world of procurement, more specifically building an employee for sourcing manager. So this is like briefly about me. We'll chat more throughout the chat, but I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. This was going to be fun. And by the way, I should mention, Procurement News reached out last night with a study they've done and asked us to comment on that. So we'll comment on that
Mm.
as well as we go, just to sort of flag that. But that's just how excited everybody is about this topic. All right. Because I like to level set and just explain, I'm slow, and so I really want to understand what we're talking about. So I thought it would be good to just start with what's an agent, what's an agentic cluster, and what's an AI employee. And to me, an AI agent is just one specific task or AI that is dedicated to one specific task in a job description. It does one thing. So if you think about a job description, I don't know, where we say must be good with Excel, I might have an agent that just does Excel manipulation. Or I could be versed. I could have an agent that just does nothing but looks at contracts or interrogates contracts. It's going to improve productivity, but it's not going to change the company. It's a smarter for. I don't like to use this comparison, but I will. If you think about RPA, which was fake AI, by the way, but it was, the promise was you'd have all these bots running around doing improved or doing specific tasks, and agents are really just a more intelligent way of executing a single task. An agentic cluster is a coordinated team of agents working together. They're running a workflow, whether it's you think about it as sourcing, where you might have an agent, you might have a sourcing cluster where one agent is drafting the RFPs, one agent evaluating, one agent is managing communication. And so as you orchestrate this, then you start to get benefits of reducing friction in your processes, hopefully simplifying processes, so on and so forth. And then the third one would be, but again, the benefits on that are going to be just slightly more than an agent, but it's not going to be earth-shattering. And that doesn't mean we shouldn't do these. This is just the evolution. But the AI employee is thinking about hiring an AI employee that's going to do the entire job description. And by hiring that employee, it's going to impact the bottom line. And it's not doing just work like the agent or the cluster. It actually holds responsibility. It owns KPIs. It prioritizes. It escalates. It makes recommendations. And so, and in many cases, this is where it gets kind of like out there is not only can it be a like for like hire? So I hire a category manager. Well, I'm now going to start thinking about how do I hire an AI category manager? But it also might be something that can cut horizontally across functions, whereas employees today, human employees tend to be sort of boxed in. And so just to sort of bring that all together, I would frame it as agents improve work. And think about like a 1 to 2% incremental benefit. Agentic clusters, they slight benefit 2 to 3%. But AI employees, they are participating in management. And so you're looking at a major benefit of like 20 to 30% return. So, Hala, would you add to that, or would
Yeah,
you agree or disagree?
yeah, yeah. No, no, I would agree. I would almost like use one of the definition that sometime you were saying on stage that every person needs to have 20 agent. And this for me, this definition is more like your first area of each agent will do one very specific task. The AI employee, I would reverse it. I would say each employee will have one agent that can do 20 things in a coordinated way. So at this point, what you are getting is what you expect from adding more capacity, more people in the team. So the way I usually explain it to companies, to our customer is at the company level, the way I see the future is every company will have a horizontal AI layer. And this could be OpenAI, it can be Gemini, it can be Anthropic, it will be any of the big player that will be horizontal, that is bringing AI as a new way for people to do their general work. Then for each role in the company, you will have very specific AI employee that you will match with the team to be able to enhance the capacity. And within procurement, you will have a role for sourcing manager. You will have one for procure to pay. Sales will have their own particular role. And then over time, and this I think will be the third layer where we are not here, those agents will be able to coordinate together, although they will be work it will be generated by different companies. So if you're looking to build if you're looking to hire an actual AI employee, it will be like one company that will be building one job profile because it takes a lot of work to be able to do it in an accurate and reliable way.
Yeah, and I think that you bumped on something that's very interesting, is that who will build these agents or these AI employees. I want to use the right terms.
Yeah.
Who will build these AI employees? Because one could argue this is OpenAI or Palantir's play, maybe Anthropic, because they've been talking about this and they're well positioned. But on the other hand, why not those of us in procurement? And I will just make one comment, which will lead into sort of our next question. And Zoya, I'll get to your comment there in a second. Is if you think about agents and agentic clusters, that very much matches what the orchestration platforms have been doing. So Zip and Oro and LevelPath have been talking about and they've been talking about and rolling out their agentic
Mm,
modules. So the questions, and that's good. Like that's as you would expect. Kind of, we go from agent to multiple agents, and it's orchestrated within a procurement platform. But this gets to be the question: is will and there's no answer, by the way. I'm not proffering an answer. I'm just putting it out there. Will it be those companies that develop AI employees? Will it be the BPOs because they're about to walk off a cliff? Or the outsourcers or the system integrators, like, or will it be consulting companies? Probably not, but because that would decimate their whole reason for existence. But I think with this will be a change in the market that will be fundamentally different. Um, since you've trained agents, can you
mm.
answer the question? I'll
Yeah, yeah, I
Zoya's
can
question,
definitely.
and then feel free to put questions in the Q&A or in the chat. I'll be watching.
Yeah. And maybe like one thing I would add, because everyone now is claiming to have agent, and there are different level of agent based on the original definition that you said. The way to think about it in a very simple way is if someone is asking you to rip and replace an existing piece of software that you have for their agent to work, then it's another software with some AI in it. A true AI employee company will tell you keep any software that you have in place the same way you would hire a person. Just let us know what are the system that you want this agent to work on, and it will work on your existing system. And this is really like a very easy red flag to understand if you're truly buying a software with AI or if you're actually buying an AI employee, which
Okay,
would,
so I
I
went.
would say, yeah,
Okay, but that brings a great. Sorry, I got to interrupt and ask. So I'm well on record as not being a fan of SAP, and I'm putting that mildly. And I refuse to log into SAP. I'm going on now 2 years where I have not logged into SAP. So could Carney come in and hire an SAP or an employee? Sorry, say that properly. Could Carney hire an admin agent that does nothing but log into SAP? And if so, how would you train that employee to do all things
yeah.
SAP?
Yeah. I would like the way I would imagine it, it won't be like one employee that will do all things SAP. If you have different roles in the company that needs to log into SAP to do specific work, you might have like four agents. Let's say you have an agent that's logging in to create POs, another one that's working to do agent reconciliation, to do like a account reconciliation. So my provision is those systems will still be in place because they are so hard to replace, but you will have less and less user logging in, and you will have agent as part of a workflow they are part of. One of the tasks might be to update SAP or to read from SAP to get the context. So I will answer the question on who is training agent. And the word training, I think, is overloaded in today's world because there are only a few companies that are truly training model. And those will be the company like OpenAI and Anthropic and Gemini that are truly taking a lot of data and training models, which are the underlying model on which agents are built. The companies that are building agents are using those models that are trained. And what we are doing is we are adding a new sort of training, which I call more context engineering. So what we do is what is all the context that this agent needs to be able to answer or to reason in a particular situation. And a lot of the work is to connect to all this information and build a way, like a knowledge graph, build a way for the agent to go across thousands of data points. So let's say in the world of procurement, you might have thousands of documents, thousands of vendor, and you need the agent to know how to, the employee, the AI employee, the agent to know how to go and retrieve that information. So it's a new sort of training that companies that are vertically specific are the one that are doing it. So to like Zoe's question, if you're building your own agent on top of existing platform, you won't have the accuracy that you expect from company like us that are building all the infrastructure needed to be able to scale at an organization level.
Yeah, that's great. By the way, I shouldn't, if I mispronounce people's names, please forgive me. I'm terrible
Yeah.
at names. Unless you have a dog, I'm really good at remembering and pronouncing dog names. Benoit
Yeah.
asked the question, do we believe horizontal AI, ChatGPT, Gemini might find ways to develop domain-specific SG&A agents? And I firmly believe that's the play. OpenAI's crazy, ridiculous hundreds of billions of dollars valuations, not because they're going to sell $20 a month subscriptions. It's because they're going to get into the AI employee business. And I'm guessing their play, I don't know this, but I mean, it's pretty obvious. They're going to replace entire call centers. They're going to replace complete support, help desk kind of functions. And they're probably ultimately going to make the play for finance and other back office. So I think they'll absolutely do that. And I think they'll run roughshod. And what was it yesterday? The Claude Code, this just came out as IBM's stock like lost 13% of value yesterday because Claude Code, um, and I say this without actually knowing all like what I'm saying, just to put that out there, but actually can do COBOL programming. and can help create this migration from COBOL systems, old mainframe programming language, to modern systems, which is a lot of IBM's business. And so they that that's sort of like the when I was talking about it might be just different than what we're thinking about. It's not that AI has to, or an AI employee has to replace IBM, but something that was like defensible space for, I don't know, 5 decades for IBM just kind of got disintermediated by what is just a like a module within Claude.
Yeah, yeah. So one more thing I would add here to like also the question of Benoit, which hi Benoit, we were chatting about actually like this can be interesting. I was chatting with Benoit about the research that Hackett Group was doing, and they were seeing that in the future, 8% of organization, no, there will be 8% increase in workload with the same team. And the gap is expected to be breached to be able to reduce that gap by looking at AI technology that will help enhance the capacity of teams. So I think organizations are already starting to think about AI to help remove this gap. It's just the question of how do I do it? Because I will connect to the second point I'm seeing. Once you bring in a general AI to the organization, let's say you brought it the OpenAI platform, the Gemini platform, the IT team is now trying to push everyone to build their own agent. And this brings me to the point where if you were to build your own agent, I'm encouraging everyone to do it. It will be a very simple agent that will get you to maybe like one small task. If you expect to increase the capacity of teams where you can do the same amount of work, like for us, we are seeing our customer able to do more negotiation per sourcing manager, but it's 10 times more because of there is an agent that's helping you in doing it. This is where you need to start going to very specialized companies that are building this stack so that you are able to get the benefit of the full job description. So when we describe, maybe I can introduce a little bit Sheldon Eloise to the team. I see some.
Yeah, yes. But however, what before or as you're doing that, I want to answer Eric's question because yes, IT organizations have completely lost their relevance. They lost their relevance 10, 15, 20 years ago when the cloud kind of became a thing. So everything they've been doing is defensive and self-protective. So they're not working for the benefit of the organization. If you truly get under the covers on the power of what AI can do, it's going to expose IT for being completely unprepared for the change. I mean, we kind of went from this. I don't know what was before digital because all of a sudden digital became the thing and we were all doing these digital transformations and they've all failed. Like, let's just be honest, like digital transformations have failed. So what was IT doing? That's on them. And so so here's how you know that IT is not up for the task because this is probably 90+% of the clients I talk to, and I talk to tons of people, is they say, "Oh yeah, we've got AI, we've got Copilot." Well, Copilot is corporatized AI. It's fake AI. It's not really what it's not it's barely agents. It's definitely not agentic clusters and is no way near AI employees. And so like AI is gonna, I mean, sorry, IT is gonna get obliterated by this, and because we don't need them anymore. And so I think we are no longer in this realm of deferring to IT. It's if they're smart, they'll put the guardrails in and get out of the way because otherwise they will get exposed sooner than later. Uh, all right, go ahead where you were going,
Yeah,
Hala, and then
yeah.
Pedro, I will come
I,
back to your comment.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to actually build up on before I introduce Shannon, build up on what you're saying and then answer Pedro's
Oh,
question.
good, good,
But
good.
yeah, to your point today, like we have also some customer telling us we have like IT is saying we have Copilot, so we need to use Copilot. And this for me is just it's like the basic baseline. Everyone needs to have an equivalent. Copilot is not my preferred, but everyone needs to have an equivalent platform where you can go and it's for me like the new way of the new internet. Like it's a new way for you to go and then research internally and externally and brainstorm with AI on the task that you're doing. But the expectation of the leadership of having productivity gain at the team will not come only from a co-pilot. At this point, you're asking people to do just more work without giving them the means to do it. The feeling
Can I
of
just interject there?
yeah,
We talk about
as a new
agents as the but I think people's expectations when we say agents is they're thinking employees.
yeah,
So
yeah,
without like there's a disconnect between, oh, well, the agent should be able to replace a person. And I think you have that's why I started with that progression of agent to cluster to employee,
yeah,
because I think we're
yeah.
stuck in the first one thinking we're in the third one.
Yeah, yeah. How do you increase like people's imagination in that way? Like another metaphor is if you come back in the morning, you open your laptop and work has been done, then you have hired an AI employee. If you go and then you still need to do all of the work, and you just have some tools that are helping you be like a little bit more efficient, you're halfway through. You're not able to get the gains that you're getting.
And think about
Um,
an employees. We're going to give an AI employee KPIs and we're
yeah,
going to give them objectives, not tasks. So we might say, source this category, or here are our categories, find me savings. So
yeah,
often CPOs, Sebastian, as a CPO, and he's out here. Um, CPOs will say to their teams, I need 10%, 20% savings. And if their employees can't get it, they call consulting firms. But change the thinking there. Ask the AI employee first. And what they're going to do is evaluate the categories, evaluate the spend. And if they can't get the data that they need, they'll ping the AI employee will ping the owners, or it will escalate it. Because once we assign that task, get me 20% savings, the employee now is on the clock for that KPI. And that's the shift. That's the mind shift change that we have to have.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like you were talking about like a change in operating model. So if we think about procurement space, since we're focusing on procurement, like the two main thing that like a CPO would care about is like financial efficiency and operational efficiency. How can I bring a team and put the tools in place to enable financial efficiency for the organization, as well as operational efficiency to enable all of the business stakeholder. And so far, the only options out there were exactly like you said, let me buy tool, let me hire the right team, let me hire a consultant to help us analyze what's happening. We need to offshore, like let's hire a BPO because like there is a lot of work, the long tail that I cannot justify touching it or hiring a team to do it. But today there is like a new option on the table that very few people understand, but I think of it as a secret weapon. You can actually leverage AI to achieve those goals. And the example that you gave is exactly how, for example, I see our customer using Sheldon, where one of the objectives is financial efficiency, that the company is not doing great. We need to look at the at margin expansion. We need to find saving, and then you have a target. So at this point, the agent, what it's doing, it's combining intelligence, it's combining the insight that you would expect to get from a consultant with automation. So I just call like an AI employee, it's a very intelligent automation that will work on your system. So the simplest use case to think about is you can actually enable, and this is one of our customer has done it, autonomous sourcing on your long tail. And this is like what you would expect from an AI employee. I have, let's say, $1 billion in indirect spend, 200 million. I cannot justify hiring people to do the work because it's the impact is lower. But I can put an AI employee to work on it and be able to automate and get me saving out of it. And it's like you described, the employee has a KPI. The employee is responsible, like Sheldon would be responsible in that case to look at the spend and find saving. And it's because it's an employee, it knows all the work it needs to do in that space. It knows it needs to create a category intelligence, come up with a plan, try to find like benchmark. So it will do all the tasks you would expect a team of people to do with a particular objective.
Yeah, and I want to, so just so everybody's tracking, so Hala has co-founded a company called Revio, and they're building AI employees, or I think it's fair to say AI temp labor that is going to morph into AI employees. At least that's how I understand it. Which may or may not be true. But their first employee is Sheldon. So when she's referring to Sheldon, that's what she refers to. I want to ask you a question though, because you brought up something that what is realistic? Like what's happening? What are you seeing in the market today that this is like, because there's a lot of hype and public service announcement. I say this in all my presentations now. If you want to learn about AI, please, please, please stay off of LinkedIn because the people posting about AI on LinkedIn have no idea what they're talking about. So if you really want to learn it, you got to follow people like Hala in other realms, not on LinkedIn. Because Hala, you're building Sheldon in your company. You're not posting on LinkedIn. I know that because I
Yeah.
follow you.
I,
So
I, I, I
and you should
I
be.
should, but I don't have time.
No, you don't have time because you're building an AI employee company. So anyway, I got it. I digress. So, but it's like there's a lot of hype. There's always, I mean, AI has been overhyped for 10 years now. So, like, let's talk about it in real world where we're seeing it. How, like, what are the conversations you're having? And I'll sort of add what the conversations I'm having.
Yeah, yeah. Like today, like, the one point I want to say in this call is like it's already a use case that is in production. So when people talk about AI employee will be a thing in the future, my main point is it exists today, and we have already built it, and our customer are using Sheldon. They're a big fan of Sheldon. They're talking about Sheldon in their performance review that Sheldon was able to help me achieve those
You've got a
goals.
fan. Sheldon's got a fan from in the chat already.
From Chris. Oh, yeah, yeah, I see it, Christine. I see a few of our customer actually on the call today. And I'll talk mostly about use cases. Like if you were to hire an AI employee, what are use cases that people are using today? The first one that I've seen like a big success was on, let's say, renewal management, that you have a lot of renewals with your existing supplier and you need help in managing all of the renewal and preparing the negotiation and benchmarking a deal and collecting some of the requirement. Um, it's like this I would call it like it's a co-pilot for sourcing manager and procurement manager, where you have the agent always at your disposal that's 24/7 preparing for you all the information you need for you to do the last mile. So the way to think about it, 90% of the work is done by the agent, and then you do the last 10% of the work. You get 100% of the credit. You look a hero in front of the team, but you have a secret weapon where you are leveraging Sheldon to do that type of work. The other extreme which exists, and this is where I usually compare it to Waymo, that when I tell people that I go around in self-driving car, whoever doesn't live in San Francisco doesn't believe me until they come here. And like the main mode of transportation, and Eloise, you can mention, is we just go around in self-driving car. And it's kind of the same thing. Like today, an AI employee and Sheldon with some of our customer, we have enabled autonomous sourcing for the long tail. So at this point, it's not an external system. It is as if you hired a full BPO organization internal to your company that will forever be yours. It's an internal asset because at the end, AI is made to stay internally and it's made for you to collect the information. So Sheldon can go and then there is a percentage of the cost, let's say 300 million that no one is touching, and our customer were able to see between 10 to 20% of saving just by allowing the AI to help in creating a category plan, analyzing, and helping in doing the negotiation for that long tail.
So just to, again, for those, I want to just, it's because it's a good example. So Waymo's owned by Google, and it's the first robo-taxi to really real, hit the market and have real legitimate customers. And it's like a ride-sharing app. it's life changing, and you realize very quickly that once you take a Waymo, it's you never want to go back. And now it's rolling out across the U.S., apparently in London, but also here in Vegas. There's Zook, which I think is owned by Amazon, and then of course Tesla is somewhere in the in the mix. I'm not sure where they're at, but or I can't really comment on Tesla without getting political. But thinking about like it's a really sophisticated, the driving, and the human was the driver. When you take a robotaxi, you realize that the AI in the car is so much better and safer than a human, because humans are fallible. And so it's again shifting in mindset. Zoe, I want to pick up on your comment, because where the AI procurement AI agent negotiates with the supplier's AI agents, and this is an escalating arms race, if you will. Like everybody's up moving, one upping each other. And so one of the reasons I push procurement so hard on this is because if we don't, the sales folks are already well on their way to using this technology. So we're going to get left further and further behind, especially if cost savings is at least part of our job description. So now, if you have enough agents, at a certain point, it just becomes more of a marketplace and less of two agents negotiating. But I would also flag that even if you're negotiating in, human to human, what kind of augmentation do you have, AI augmentation? And one of the things I like to talk about is new productivity tools. And Sebastian had making a comment about Clippy, and the idea that you could take Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and just add AI Copilot to them. But actually, we're starting to have fit for purpose AI productivity tools. So if you're thinking about category management, why would you not use something like Notebook LM, which is a Google product? It's free, by the way. Or there's a company called, there's a couple other companies that are in the procurement realm that are doing specific things that improve productivity. And so it's not like we have a whole arsenal, let's use a less war term. You have a whole toolbox of different tools and a workbench, and we don't have to just use the hammer for everything. All right.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
completely lost track of the question.
I'll answer one of the question in the chat first. Hi, Wendy. Wendy, for example, she's one of our customer from Checker, and they have been like a big fan of Sheldon helping us in improving it. And a lot of the work, which I will go to the next question of how are we training Sheldon, is kind of twofold. First, we're a team of very specialized AI uh, founders. So everyone in the company has been working on AI for 15 years, and we've been talking about agent even before the word was coined, and that's in that space. So in that way, I think like a lot of the work has come from the expertise of the team. The second part is actually working with customer, because all of our customer, at the end of the day, you need procurement expertise to build a procurement agent, and you will need, let's say, sales expertise to build a sales agent. So a lot of customers have given us feedback of this is what I would expect Sheldon to do. This is the type of help I'll be able to build it. And this iterative loop help us build what you would call like a perfect hire for the work of a strategic sourcing manager to be able to help and amplify the team. So it's not a one shot. There's a lot of iteration, and the technology is moving very fast. The underlying model are getting smarter and smarter in terms of what they are able to understand and reason. And this is where like the reality of how far are we from being able to either autonomously or with a human in the loop have agent help impact the financial bottom line of a company. We are already there if you were to give it a shot and be curious to try it.
Yeah, and I want to something that so when I first met Hala, like the way the approach, and this might help in sort of thinking about the design, um, is that this has always stuck with me is that if you think about a procurement job description, they were, Hala and her co-founder have been always looking at this as like, what are the tasks in the job description? And I think you did a test one time where Sheldon applied for a
Mm.
job, and I mean it's quaint and it's fun, but also it's actually really impactful if you think about it, that you have an AI, let's call it employee or temp employee that is sophisticated enough to apply, to qualify, and to perhaps even not only get hired, but also to be able to answer questions about what like through the interview process. And I'm wondering in my sort of futuristic sort of vision, you could probably imagine like an avatar of Sheldon that could look fairly realistic and could answer questions, could do live chatting, and it probably could actually go through an interview process. And I know that sounds like I'm like smoking too many funny things and driving around in robo taxis too much, but also I don't think we're that far off. And when you look at how sophisticated the AI podcasts have become, the AI image enhancements and image creation, and now video creation, I don't think we're that far off. And so to sort of like bring that back, if you have Sheldon or any AI employee that can apply to a job and compete for a job, that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about a particular process or automate my Excel file. Like that's the fundamental change that we are embracing.
Yeah, yeah. The like hero use case for this will be actually in negotiations. Like today, Sheldon is mostly an assistant to the sourcing manager to help on the negotiation, but there will be a point in time where for very low cost, let's say if it's less than 200K or less than 100K, where no one is looking at it, I would have Sheldon after having trusted, because it's a process to trust the AI to make sure it's always answered correctly and then to let it work proactively. I think of it as those three steps. After you have trusted the AI, you can let it do a negotiation on your behalf for the long tail. And this is something I can see it, Eloise, in the short term as a feasible use case. I'm
Yeah.
looking at Christi yeah, at
Oh, go
Christine's
no, go ahead.
question. Yeah. I was going to say that at the end of the day, why do we exist as a company? Like, what is the purpose of an AI employee? It's kind of the specialization in a particular job description. Like you said, we read the job description and we expected this employee to be able to do all of those tasks in a proactive way. So depending on the situation, as long as it's connected to the right system, Sheldon will know what it needs to do in a particular situation. And you usually start reactively, where you just chat with Sheldon, and then you can enable it to be more proactive in the system. But it is trained to understand this is a difference, like you said. Today, you need to hire one person for a particular role because not one human being can do a lot of tasks. Sheldon is a category specialist for all the categories. So if you give a marketing contract to Sheldon, it will look at it the same way a procurement marketing a procurement like sourcing manager with marketing experience will look at that contract. Then you can give it another contract that's completely separate about a software that you are renewing or a facility. And we're expanding to more and more category where you will have this expertise in this agent that you can bring to the team, and everyone, even if you have never, let's say, negotiated with a media agency, now you can become an expert in negotiating with a media agency because Sheldon is whispering in your ears what do you need to say and how, and help you in leveling up the team to this level of of expertise that not one human has.
And I want to build on Christine's question, and your answer is, yeah, there is no common underlying tool. We don't actually care what the underlying tool is. Just like the great thing about an AI employee is it's going to be less obstinate than, say, somebody like me that refuses to log into SAP. The AI employee will do what we ask it to do. And so we just train it to understand how to log into SAP, which is we just give it the SAP user guide and then it knows how to log in and what to do. And then I just ask it to do, give it the outcomes that I want. Go pull this data, go do this, create a, whatnot. And so,
Mm,
it is, there is no common, like all the underlying systems, this like, what cracks me up is everybody's doing these one ERP, like the next 10 years is taking all of these SAP systems and making them into one new, it's a waste of time because, and to, Lilia's question, well, you can answer about the Sheldon part, but
mm,
conceptually, an AI employee can go into any or all of the systems, just like I can or you can, and pull out the data. And then it can not only pull it out, it can hold it in memory and its own memory and manipulate it and take it. So I'm less concerned about the underlying. In fact, I don't even care what the systems are. And these big transformation and migration efforts, they might make sense for cost reduction, but they like it's not going to improve the user experience because I don't care about the user experience. I don't even want to add to that.
yeah, yeah. I agree with this. Like today, we reach a point where, and I'm going back to my first area of if you're truly bringing an AI employee to help you in a particular task, it doesn't matter which underlying system you have. It's the same mindset as if you hired someone and then you will give them access to a few system and then you will explain, by the way, this is our procurement policy, this is our processes, this is your login, those are all the information. It's kind of the same area. You can have the information in 3 and 10 system as long as the agent is integrated and has access to them, it will know how to pull it in and then reason around it. So yeah, I think to Lilia's question, even if the data is in several modules in SAP, as long as the agent has access to it, and at the beginning you can say, I only want read access because I don't trust Sheldon. I want Sheldon to know about it, but I don't want Sheldon to write into my system of record, and that's fine. Sheldon can read access. It can tell you I have done this analysis, I have done this work. This is what I would have updated in your system of record. And the first 20 time you'll say approve, approve, approve. And then on the 21st time, you'll want to automate that process.
So Eric brings up a great this is what I mean, this is Eric, your example there of why not have an agent for travel expenses. I mean, that is that's my frustration with SAP. And yeah, exactly. Your Workday is my SAP. And, but the reality is let me say, when your company puts in a Gemini or an OpenAI, then you can build an agent. And this is good back to that agent versus cluster versus
Mm,
employee is you could build an agent to go in and pull your credit card expenses out so you wouldn't have to log into Workday. So that's a task we're giving and
yeah.
I don't want to have to program the agent. I just want to tell it that here are my credentials, go log into Workday, figure out how to pull the data out, put it into a spreadsheet. Now, if you wanted, so that's just an agent, but an agentic cluster is okay. I'm going to have one agent go in, pull the credit card information, pass it off to another agent that's going to classify it, and then it's going to pass it off to another agent that is then going to submit it or whatnot, and so forth. So, but an AI employee would be, well, asking it to, would think about like an EA that just sits there and does that, submits and categorizes all the travel expenses for all employees. Because that agent could just sit there and work all day doing not just your expenses, but everybody's expenses. And that's sort of the progression.
Yeah.
Mike, I'm just going to say if you're going to use Joule, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you believe that that's going to get you to the AI level, I have a bridge to sell you or some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell. I mean, SAP is they say the right things, they use the right words, but like when you get into this, you realize just like this is a fundamental shift. And if you this is the litmus test. this is actually going to disrupt, like if let's just say we build some agents in Joule, what it actually disrupts is the entire SAP business model. So you only are going to get so far before you run into resistance, because what you like eventually, like our enterprise software spend should decrease significantly. And I don't think SAP or Workday or Salesforce have quite wrapped their heads around that. Certainly the market
Mm.
hasn't. I just want to make
Yeah.
one other I'm going to butcher the name here, but Divi, but he's from Procurement News, and he conducted a study on which percentage of procurement role can be done by AI. And first off, what I love about this, so he sent this last night, and so I took a look, and he asked us to comment on it. Um, First off, you just can go, and so it's at air.procurement.news, I think. Very memorable, but it's procurement news. And is that you just can go look at the data. And I think that's like just anybody that works with data and is publishing reports, that's so smart, because now you can get eyeballs on it without forcing people through a paywall. But we both, Hala and I, looked at because they benchmarked five roles: RFX manager, contract analyst, supplier negotiation. Thank you, Sophie. Supplier negotiation specialist and strategic sourcing analyst. And it's a readiness score. And again, I haven't delved into the data, so could be good, could be bad. But it was an interesting, like Hala and I went back and forth on this, because actually, I think both of us believe we can go even further and much faster. And I just wonder if, or not that I wonder, I actually want to push people to accelerate their journey on this, because you don't want to get caught behind, especially as you're getting into leadership roles, that this is fundamentally different. And Sophie had talked about Claude Code, or I forget what it's called. And it's like this is a fundamental shift, and most of us have not wrapped our heads around that. Certainly the over 40 crowd that's in leadership that I talk to every day, they have not appreciated this.
Yeah. I think today we're closer to the 90% in terms of the way I look at it, an agent, if you have built an agent that can do the whole job description, like so the employee, we're closer to, like this is what we're seeing with Sheldon, we're closer to the 90% where you can put Sheldon to work on all of the tasks, and you do the last, what I call the last 10% of responsible task, which is reading the email before it's being sent or reviewing a particular proposal. But 90% of the lift off can already be done. Um,
Yeah, and so maybe what we'll start to close out here, although feel free to put more questions in the chat as we wind down here, because we will end on time. I think so. By the way,
yeah,
uh, you can answer the question about finding more about Sheldon. This was not meant
yeah,
to
yeah,
be a Sheldon
yeah, yeah,
sales
yeah,
pitch. But what I will say that as I've, been tracking, Hala and Rivia's progress over the last 2 years, is like this is one of the few legit solutions that is really, you're not trying to do orchestration. You're not trying to do P2P. You're not trying to do whatever, fill in the blank. And I've been impressed that you've looked at something just completely different.
yeah,
And so I think what I want everybody to take away from today is the op model is changing. It's going to be different. And uh, we're not going to keep hiring humans. And I saw a statistic just this morning. I haven't read the article yet, but that all of the capital or all the money investments going into like capital solutions, like financial solutions, not employees. And that sort
mm,
of set off alarm bells for me, because I think we are, again, it's not that everybody's going to lose their jobs. It's just the workforce is going to change dramatically.
yeah. But one time you were talking, Eloise, about thinking about the org model. Let's say you're a CPO and you're thinking about what should be my org strategy in terms of like the people, the temporary worker, like if the BPO consultant, and now you have one more option on the table, which is AI employee, and it's looking at all those tools, taking a step back and thinking, okay, what is the future of the organization for me to be able to achieve this goal? And this is like one key aspect of whoever will think about this sooner will have a competitive advantage over other company because you will be able to achieve much more with the same team that you have, and AI will be your secret weapon, which will become more common in the next 2 years. But this year it will be like the secret weapon for anyone who's trying to implement it early on.
So the question I have for you, you don't necessarily, it's more rhetorical. You can answer it, but you don't have to, is like if you build enough Sheldons and you build Sheldon and Leonard and Penny and
The whole
whoever
Big Bang
else,
Theory.
yeah, if you build all of them out, does Rivia become an AI BPO provider, an outsourced provider?
Yeah.
Like again, we don't like that. That's just a musing, like something to muse about. But at a
About
certain point, because your play has nothing to do with source to pay. It's really that operating model. And if we're outsourcing some of the model, maybe we just outsource the whole thing to
yeah, to an
um
AI. Yeah,
yeah.
I would say the
So
two area,
no, go
and
ahead.
I will comment very quickly. I know you have a couple of minutes. I would say the two area where I think AI, and I know you work at Kern News, but the two area where I think AI will start to eat from people's lunch is consultant, because now
No
you can
doubt.
have
No
an
doubt.
AI
Yeah.
internal consultant that can do your spend cube analysis in real time the moment you ask a question. And then BPO is the other area. The moment you see yourself having to outsource to a BPO, now an AI agent can start and coming in. So it's a great kind of opening to nurture people's imagination of when is a good time to think about an AI employee.
Um, so we can crash through these last questions. So, the skills for procurement employees, they need to change now. So I have a whole slide actually in my last book I wrote about this, but I also do the AI masterclass to help those of us over 40 progress. So
Yeah.
happy to take that offline and send you that material.
Yeah, yeah. I would recommend
Um,
everyone to join the class if you haven't yet, because it's really a great class to understand 101. It's very hands-on. Eloise, I think you did a great job, but whoever didn't do it yet, I would really recommend to join it.
Thank you. Yeah, I've always learned something. We'll send that as a follow-up. Um, yes, Sebastian, to your question, there has to be governance, and like there's a whole separate topic on governance, but governance becomes a way of operating. And yes, you have to put constraints, but actually I would argue that it's the AI that will put the constraints on the AI. So it's us telling it what it can and can't do. And so that's really the important thing there. Because yes, it does, like this stuff is fallible. And so you really want to think about, and this is where training becomes so important. Paula, I'm sure you do not train on the internet. Like you train on the client's data
Yeah,
and some very specific, and you don't want to just like release that out into the wild. And then Sherelle, yes, human needs to be in the loop. And I will say this till I'm blue in the face, we are humans living in a physical world. And so at the end of the day, it all comes down to relationships. So no matter how much AI we have, we are still in human relationships. All right, Hala, I'm going to give you the last word. And I know you're going to be in New York on the 10th for the Connect House AI event. Um,
yes, yes. I'll be there if anyone has questions. I just wanted to thank everyone. It was a very interactive session. I think everyone is now curious to learn more. Thank you, Eloise, for setting the stage. I think
yep.
it's just the beginning of what is happening. We will do more of these type of session in your master class. We will do also one in-person session in San Francisco for whoever
Yep.
wants to like deep dive even more. But it's really like I'm encouraging everyone to be curious, because now is the moment to be curious and try.
Well, thank you. Thank you all for attending. Hala, thank you for being a great co-host. And there's another Connect House event that I'll be at. Both of us will be at. I can't remember when it is. So, but follow Connect House and enjoy the rest of your. Tuesday? Yes, Tuesday. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday wherever you are. And if you're in the Northeast, please be safe and try to stay warm. Have a great day, everybody. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.